Trinidad and Tobago distances itself from a controversial position taken by its ambassador to the OAS. Our top story in Caribbean Newsline for Thursday, March 29th. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Dawn Paris. Good evening. The Trinidad and Tobago government is investigating why its ambassador to the Organization of American States did not vote in favor of a request by hurricane-ravaged Dominica, which was seeking an ease in paying fees to the OAS amid its recovery from Hurricane Maria last September. Instead of supporting the waiver for the 2018-2019 period, Ambassador Anthony Philip Spencer suggested that Dominica either defer payment of its quota or pay in installments. But in a statement issued on Thursday, the government distanced itself from that position. The Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs said it was not aligned with the actions, policy or orientation of Trinidad and Tobago towards Dominica. It further reiterated its unwavering support for the island, tangibly demonstrated in Trinidad and Tobago's recent aid and expressions of empathy to that country. And it said an investigation is underway into the briefing arrangements of the ambassador and the circumstances involved in the discussion. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has also requested a report on the matter. On Thursday, the government, like I said, sought to distance itself from the ambassador's position. Still in Trinidad and Tobago, opposition leader Kamla Prasad-Besesser has described as a malicious, deliberate falsehood statements by Attorney General Faris Al-Rawi linking her former government to the illegal activities of political consulting firm Cambridge Analytica, which harvested data of the country's population. And she says her United National Congress, the UNC, plans to file a motion of breach of privilege against the AG for his statements. On Wednesday, Al-Rawi told Parliament that whistleblower Christopher Wiley told United Kingdom lawmakers that the British company had undertaken work in the Twin Island Republic in 2013 under the Prasad-Besesser's People's Partnership Administration. Wiley himself referred to contractual documents and emails regarding projects carried out by the AIQ, the affiliate company of Cambridge Analytica, including in Trinidad and Tobago.
One of them was for the, at the time, the Minister of National Security of Trinidad. In the contractual documents and then also email chains, AIQ, part of the project was to go out and find a way of accessing raw internet service provider data for the entire country to monitor what people were browsing in that country. As I understand it, that's not legal in Trinidad. It certainly wouldn't be legal here.
In a statement issued on Wednesday evening, Prasad-Besesser maintained that neither she nor her UNC had ever contacted Cambridge Analytica, and she condemned Al-Rawi for alleging that the UNC party and our UNC members of the People's Partnership government of 2010-2015 were responsible for that harvesting by the firm. Prasad-Besesser said, quote, "The Attorney General's statement, by virtue of what appears to be calculated omissions and deliberate vagueness, amounted to a mischievous effort to mislead the Parliament and, by extension, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago in what is undoubtedly an important issue regarding their privacy rights in the uncontrolled and largely unregulated global virtual world of social media." End quote. Prasad-Besesser also seemed to suggest that any involvement the British firm had in Trinidad and Tobago was with the Congress of the People, COP, a member of the Coalition People's Partnership government that she headed. She said a Google search had led her to an article published by CBS News, which stated that Cambridge Analytica's first contract with a strategic company's communications laboratory was in 2013 for political work in Trinidad and Tobago with the COP. At least 60 people died in a fire that broke out during a riot at a jail in the northern Venezuelan city of Valencia late Wednesday. The blaze reportedly started after prisoners set fire to mattresses in an attempt to break out. Family members, desperate for information, clashed with police officers, and according to local reports, police used tear gas to disperse the relatives. Local opposition lawmaker Juan Miguel Mafia said the tragedy was compounded by the long wait for answers as people demanded to know what had happened. No one was allowed to see the bodies long after the fire had been extinguished. The country's head prosecutor, Tariq William Saab, announced a death toll of 68, including 2 women who were likely visitors. He promised an investigation into the events. Guyana has officially filed its border case application with the International Court of Justice. The filing was done on Thursday by Foreign Affairs Minister Carl Greenidge at the court in The Hague. In its application, Guyana highlighted that Venezuela had for more than 60 years consistently recognized and respected the validity of the binding force of the 1899 award and the 1905 map agreed by both sides in furtherance of the award. But Guyana notes that Venezuela changed its mind in 1962 as Britain was preparing to grant independence. Guyana gained independence in 1966 and has been dogged by the Venezuela claims since then. The Foreign Ministry says Venezuela has never produced any evidence to substantiate its belated repudiation of the 1899 award. It says the country has used it as an excuse to occupy territory awarded to Guyana, to inhibit Guyana's economic development, and to violate Guyana's sovereignty and sovereign rights. The move to the ICJ follows the referral by the United Nations Secretary General. Guyana has been fiercely pushing for a judicial settlement since the new government came to office 2 years ago. A prominent United States-based economist has described cryptocurrency as a bubble and does not believe it will succeed. Professor Andrew Rose of the Haas School of Business at the University of California, Berkeley, says many financial services and firms really have no idea what is going to emerge in cryptocurrency because there are so many competing firms and so many competing standards. He was speaking at the Central Bank of Barbados' 5th Economic Forum. Rose says Trinidad and Tobago is not clear that any are going to succeed.
Cryptocurrency at this point strikes me as a bubble, and it's a bubble, and it's therefore very popular to discuss because it is a bubble. That's what everyone likes to discuss. But it's far from being a currency at this point. You can't use it to buy coffee at the local chafettes here, and I don't see that changing anytime in the foreseeable future. Digital currency in some form will emerge sooner or later, probably later, because for money to be accepted, it has to be regulated and trusted by the central bank and therefore for the populace. Nothing is going to serve as a medium of exchange if it's purely privately backed. You cannot pay for something with a credit card without eventually settling your bill in money. It's hard to imagine cryptocurrency being anything different. I think we're in the dawn of this technology, and I bet none of the current cryptocurrencies will succeed. So I think this is a bubble that reasonable people can avoid for the time being.
Coming up in Caribbean Newsline, hurricane preparations begin in Antigua and Barbuda. We'll be right back.
It's time. Kick back, relax, enjoy the view, the boats, the scenery amidst epic parties, entertainment, and nightlife. Antigua Sailing Week. Experience 7 days of non-stop bliss. Chase the race daily by land or up close by sea as the crews compete for glory. Then, when night falls, the harbor ignites. Antigua Sailing Week, April 28th to May 4th, 2018. Antigua and Barbuda. The beach is just the beginning.
The 22nd Annual St. Kitts Music Festival from June 27 to July 1st, 2018. Featuring Kester Band, Sizzler Lungi, Small Axe Band, Nyla Blackman, and Betty Wack. Also, Patti LaBelle, Dijon, New Vibes International, Rhythm of the Beat, and Wayne Wonder. Vibes, August Alsina, Aishona, Byron Messiah, Dasha, Shaka Dimas and Pliers, and Miss Lauren Hill. Save the date and book now for the 22nd Annual St. Kitts Music Festival, an experience like no other.
Antigua and Barbuda's cabinet says preparations for the 2018 hurricane season have begun. Government's Chief of Staff, Lionel Max Hurst, announced that funds have been set aside to commence the cleaning of drains, the removal of overhanging tree branches from electricity and telephone wires, and the provision of resources to the National Office of Disaster Services. He said the work is intended to reduce any damage to homes, businesses, and institutions should the weather system hit the Twin Island nation. Last September, Hurricane Irma devastated Barbuda and forced residents there to move to the mainland Antigua. Hurst said the cabinet also agreed to strengthen the program that allows for indigent owners of vulnerable homes to have their dwelling places strengthened before the season begins. The United States Ambassador to Guyana, Perry Holloway, has taken a swipe at what he calls new experts in oil and gas who focus primarily on the worst-case scenarios in the industry. And he's advising Guyanese not to limit their knowledge on the oil and gas sector and oil giant ExxonMobil to what others say, but to do their own research and get a better understanding of the industry and its benefits. Holloway made the comments on a local radio program with News Source Guyana. He says citizens should keep their government's feet to the fire when the oil revenues start to pour in, the same way they should keep Exxon's feet to the fire.
There have been a number of articles by many people in many different outlets. For instance, I know one that comes to mind, I don't even know which outlet came from, that ExxonMobil has been in 20 African countries and they're still dirt poor or something like that. I'm sure I'm not representing the article exactly, but that was roughly the headline. Well, the thing that occurred to me as I read that article, well, the Red Cross has been in those 20 countries for more than 50 years, as has Coca-Cola. So are we going to contribute their corruption and their lack of success to the Red Cross being there or Coca-Cola? There's no doubt ExxonMobil was there. There's no doubt there was oil money. But what a country does with their oil money is entirely up to the government and the people. So if the government is corrupt, well, then you can imagine the results you would get. So while everyone should hold ExxonMobil's feet to the fire, everyone's going to have to, in the future, hold whatever government is in power's feet to the fire. And, what happens to the money that a company gets from oil revenues should be determined by the government and the people. It's not determined by the company providing the money.
The U.S. ambassador commented on a call for a review of the contract the government signed with ExxonMobil. He says all contracts have an expiration date, and he believes that any company that gets a new oil contract won't get the same benefits as Exxon.
Quite frankly, the previous government actually, or even maybe the previous one before that, signed the contract with ExxonMobil. in very good faith at a time when no one would sign a contract with Guyana because there have been 40 years of dry holes. And based on the information available, and I think the contract that they originally was signed was a good deal. But as we knew more that there really was oil, there were changes made. I mean, there are a lot of misstatements out there. For instance, I've seen some people say, well, yeah, when knowing what we knew originally, the contract may have been fine, but knowing what we know today, it's not fine. Well, for instance, when the additions were made to the contract, and this is public record, you can find it online, Guyana still only knew that it had 1.4 billion barrels of reserves, not the 3.2, 3.4 they have today. So I would argue that the additions that the government managed to get from ExxonMobil, the concessions, were quite good, quite positive.
Meantime, the Civil Defense Commission on Thursday hosted a stakeholders consultation on the draft National Oil Spill Contingency Plan. Minister of Natural Resources, Raphael Trotman, said no effort will be spared to ensure that Guyana puts a sound disaster risk reduction and management system in place so that it's prepared to prevent an oil spill or respond effectively should there be an accident. He says the engagement and involvement of every stakeholder is critical to the drafting of a comprehensive oil spill response contingency plan.
You find the importance of a national oil spill contingency plan grows exponentially because we are not speaking only of developing Liza, we are speaking of developing all of the other wells that come in tandem with it. So while as a government we are cognizant of the potential risks which come with developing this newfound petroleum resource, we are equally committed to the protection of our environment, and Guyana continues to be a fierce proponent for its protection internationally.
Minister Trotman explained that the feature of the Sovereign Wealth Fund is ensuring that the environment is properly managed, with a percentage of the oil revenues to be placed into the Environmental Trust Fund. This fund is already in existence as a requirement under the Environmental Protection Act. Acting Director General of the Civil Defense Commission, Lieutenant Colonel Kester Craig, asked participants to reflect on how proactive and targeted disaster risk reduction and management measures can play an integral role in reducing negative environmental impacts from the exploitation of natural resources.
Recognizing needs to have systems and capacity in place to reduce and respond to any eventuality, the government of Guyana, in partnership with ExxonMobil, through the Civil Defense Commission, the Maritime Administration Department, the Environmental Protection Agency, and the Ministry of Natural Resources, commenced a series of measures in 2017. This included the training of personnel from several agencies.
A presentation on the draft National Oil Spill Contingency Plan was also made by MARAT's Safety Director, Captain John Flores, who was applauded for the incremental role he played in the process. The final document is expected to be completed within 24 months.
And ahead in Newsline Sport, a former regional cricketer stumped by the ball tampering scandal that has rocked Australian cricket. Stay with us.
It's time. Kick back, relax, enjoy the view, the boats, the scenery amidst epic parties, entertainment and nightlife. Antigua Sailing Week. Experience 7 days of non-stop bliss. Chase the race daily by land or up close by sea as the crews compete for glory. Then, when night falls, the harbor ignites. Antigua Sailing Week, April 28th to May 4th, 2018. Antigua and Barbuda. The beach is just the beginning.
Follow your heart to the 22nd Annual St. Kitts Music Festival from June 27th to July 1st, 2018. Featuring Kester Band, Sifa Ology, Small Axe Band, Nyla Blackman, and Betty Wack. Also, Patti LaBelle, Dijon, New Vibes International, Rhythm of the Beat, and Wayne Wonder. August Alcina, Aishona, Byron Messiah, Dasha, Shaka Dimas, and Riot, and Miss Lauren Hill. Save the date and book now for the 22nd Annual St. Kitts Music Festival, an experience like no other.
Barbados, renowned for its pristine beachfront and fantastic weather, continues to leave quite an impression on newcomers to the island and returning visitors. Caribbean island, quite popular as a vacation hotspot, is not only beautiful due to its natural aesthetics. The island of Barbados continues to grow in popularity because of unique connections developed with our people, our culture. We can't wait to welcome you.
Continuing with sports now, a former regional cricketer is reacting to the ball tampering scandal that has rocked Australian cricket, saying that he was totally taken by surprise. Captain Steve Smith and batsmen David Warner and Cameron Bancroft have been banned by Cricket Australia for the incident in the third test against South Africa. Smith admitted that the Aussie leadership group had devised a plan to tamper with the ball, and Cricket Australia's investigation found that Warner instructed Bancroft how to carry it out. The 25-year-old Bancroft, who was playing his 8th test, admitted to using sandpaper to damage the ball after initially claiming he used tape. In an interview with TV6's Vinod Narawani, Philo Wallace expressed his surprise since, according to him, the Aussies would have been the first among cricketing nations to protest illegal actions by other teams.
Yes, I was shocked that has happened. When you look at it, when you look at Australia's cricket, it's always been aggressive. Their cricket has been built on aggression. And you never really thought Australians would have been the ones to do those kind of things. Because when those things happened before, to other players, they were the ones who were very vocal and saying that is not the way to play. And obviously they will label the other players as cheats.
Well, Wallace explained why he thinks a West Indies player would never go down the path of cheating to win matches.
We don't play cricket like that in the West Indies. We might give you some chat, but we don't scratch balls and do those kind of things. And I cannot see a West Indian cricketer being caught, or West Indies cricket team being caught doing this kind of thing during a test match or during any kind of cricket. We enjoy cricket, and we just play cricket naturally. What will be, will be.
Regional under-15 title holders Barbados began their campaign on a losing note when they went down to 8-time champions Trinidad and Tobago in the opening round of the championship on Wednesday. Chasing a modest 109 for victory at Sabina Park, TNT romped to their target in the 40th over to complete a fairly comfortable 5-wicket victory. TNT looked in dire straits when they declined to 7 for 3 early in their innings, but Nick Ramlal struck a crucial unbeaten 38 and Sachin Emrit 22 to pull their side out of trouble. They put on 59 in an unbroken 6-wicket stand after the innings had further slumped to 50 for 5. Barbados experienced a similarly dodgy start, slipping to 18 for 3 before Tariq O'Neill's 28 and Captain Numar Bolden's 20 repaired the damage. At Kensington Park, Guyana put their strong batting on show to whip Windward Islands by 70 runs. Sent into bat, Guyana posted 224 for 9 off their 50 overs, with opener Shamar Yearwood stroking a top score of 75 and Mavendra Dindyal getting 59. The pair put on 141 for their second wicket after Guyana found themselves in trouble at 9 for 1. Leg spinner Akeem Auguste finished with 5 for 33. In reply, Kervin Gangadine struck 34 and Stephen Pascal 23. But Mahendra Gopilal and Chandrapal Ramraj grabbed 3 wickets apiece to send Windwards tumbling for 154 in the 45th over. And host Jamaica also made a positive start to their campaign when they beat Leeward Islands by 73 runs at Melbourne Oval, thanks to 51 from Sanjay Walker and a 4-wicket haul from Jordan Johnson. From the pitch to the track and field, Guyana is hoping to improve its medal count at this year's Carifta Games. It won 4 gold, 1 silver and 3 bronze medals last year and placed 5th overall. But officials at the Athletic Association of Guyana are confident the 18-man contingent will come out on top this time around. Isan Griffith of Capital News tells us more.
The AG is sending 18 athletes along with 3 officials at the game to represent Guyana and is expecting medals to be won, according to President of the AG, Aubrey Hudson.
Athletes that we would have selected would have earned their selection. They have demonstrated that they can really and truly represent Guyana, and to continue the upward development that we've seen over the years in moving Guyana to higher heights in track and field. Now, this would not have been possible if it wasn't for the kind sponsorship and generosity of some major entities.
Some of the athletes in Ghana's squad are Tremaine Brown in long jump on the 20 boys, Tashana Skeet of Linden in 200 and 400 meter girls on the 17, along with US-based runners Onisha Rogers in the 100 girls on the 20, Yvonne Samuels 200 and 400 meter girls on the 20, Claudrice McCoy 1500 meter on the 20 and 3000 meter open. They will meet the team in the Bahamas. Assistant coach Niall Stanton believes that the team is well prepared for the games and is expecting them to shine.
I think the preparation has been good. We've had camps with the team. I'm pretty much excited, as I would have said before. I know that this team is an 18-man squad and there will be 18 or more medals. In terms of climatizing, in our camp we had late night practice, early mornings in the hot sun, and so we're going into Bahamas today. Will give us a day or two, to get the kids, into that little climatizing. It's a Caribbean country, so the climate won't be much of a difference from Guyana. But in terms of the expectations, I think the expectation is very high.
Guyana medal hopes rest also on Lyndon Shantoba Bright in long jump girls on the 20, Daniel Williams 200 and 400 meter boys on the 20, sprinter Kenesha Phillips in the 100 and 200 meter girls on the 20, Princess Brown triple jump girls on the 17, and Joanna Archer 800 meter, 1500 meter girls.
And that's the sport. We'll be right back.
Barbados, renowned for its pristine beachfront and fantastic weather, continues to leave quite an impression on newcomers to the island and returning visitors. The Caribbean island, quite popular as a vacation hotspot, is not only beautiful due to its natural aesthetics. The island of Barbados continues to grow in popularity because of unique connections developed with our people, our culture. We can't wait to welcome you. Renowned for its pristine beachfront and fantastic weather, continues to leave quite an impression on newcomers to the island and returning visitors. The Caribbean island, quite popular as a vacation hotspot, is not only beautiful due to its natural aesthetics. The island of Barbados continues to grow in popularity because of unique connections developed with our people, our culture. We can't wait to welcome you.
A recap of the major developments of this day. The Trinidad and Tobago government is investigating why its ambassador to the OAS did not vote in favor of a request by hurricane-ravaged Dominica, which was seeking an ease in paying fees to the organization amid its recovery from Hurricane Maria last September. And in sport, former regional cricketer Philo Wallace shocked by the ball tampering scandal that has rocked Australian cricket. And that's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport round the clock, log on to connews.com. We'll be back here again next Tuesday. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you and good night and have a safe and blessed Easter weekend.